Hey, 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 scrappy people. Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with a layout using the brand new Cocoa Daisy Into the Blue collection. And today I'm going to be creating a page with this beautiful mermaid paper of my husband. So I had this idea that I wanted to create a wave in the center of this page. So you can see I just freeform drew a wave shape around the mermaids on the paper. And then I'm going to repeat that process again with two other papers from the collection. Now this is for two reasons. One, these two papers I feel like feminize is a word. Is masculinize a word? I'm not sure I've ever heard that word spoken, so probably not. But they add a little bit of masculinity to this very feminine feeling paper, but also it gives me a place to sort of start my page and put my photos, and you'll see what I mean here in a second. So I'm creating a third wave here with this yellow paper, and then I will take the top of the mermaid paper that I cut off and I will put it at the top. So 3 waves, 3 photos. So this photo is this is literally the first photo that I'm scrapbooking from our Hawaii vacation because it is hilarious. I shouldn't say first photo, I should say first story because it's 3 photos. But my husband and I were exploring, we were taking a little walk along the beach, and we came to this place where it kept crashing the waves up into like a sea spray. And to this point, the waves had been like high, but not so high that they were getting us too wet or anything. So I told my husband to turn around and I would give him his little mermaid moment on camera. And man, the ocean provided. And you'll see here in a second the rest of these photos. It was the biggest spray that we had encountered, and it is the most hilarious set of photos. I almost died laughing. My husband's a good sport, and he was fairly amused by it as well. So that's what this story is. My favorite story from vacation is one at my husband's expense, he says, so that's fun. Anyway, I've got all these together now, and I used the other 12 by 12 paper to sort of cut off, or eyeball cutting off, the top of that mermaid paper, and then I just went ahead on my large trimmer and made it 12 by 12. So I will say that I cut out a ton of hemming and hawing about where these photos would go. I literally probably went back and forth about 20 times for 15 minutes about where I wanted them to be. But in the end, I got there, and I've spared you all of my indecision. So I'm going to mat these 2 photos, just 2 of them, on some of the papers that I already used, just for a little bit of consistency, and also just to make them stand out from the background a little bit. I felt like they weren't quite popping the way that I wanted them to when they were just plain. So I added a little bit of yellow and a little bit of that palm tree pattern, and I felt like that helped them to stand out better. So I will say this process video is a little bit longer than my usual because I don't know what it was, but it did take me quite a bit of effort to be satisfied with the actual embellishing on this page. There were a few missteps as well, and I left most of it in so that you can see that even people who quote unquote do this for a living, sometimes they struggle a little bit and they make decisions that are a little bit not the smartest, not the greatest. But in the end, even if you make mistakes, even if something comes out not quite the way that you intended, there's always a recovery. There's always a way back from most mistakes. I won't say all mistakes, but I will say almost anything can be fixed. So, okay, finally got all these photos down, and I added in a title with the alphas from the collection, and it's going to say Little Mermaid Moment. And I'm going right along with the wave. So it says Little Mermaid and then moment in these larger cardstock alphabets. And now I'm just going to start auditioning some of the things I've pulled aside. These are pretty cool. That Life is a Beach, Enjoy the Waves are actually vellum stickers from like a little vellum sticker book here. You can see, I'm going to put that one back. A little vellum sticker book. I do end up not using, that life is a beach, enjoy the waves. I really like it. I think it's funny and ironic with this page, but the way that it sits there, it's just not quite, it's like weird and juts out funny. I do end up putting it down, but then I'm going to peel it up later. I'm going to take some of these cardstock stickers. I believe these were from the Creative Collection, or the Creative Kit, and I'm going to put some in between the waves. So my whole idea is to put things in the waves with the photos and sort of do all of my embellishing in the center of the page there, because I think that the paper, it speaks for itself. There's so much design, I don't really have to do much, and also the design is pretty important to why I chose the paper, so I don't really want to interfere with it too much. But I'm struggling a little bit here with what I want to be in between all of these waves, and I feel like some things are working better than others, but it's not quite the look that I'm going for. So I think it's mainly the big white outline around the cardstock stickers, so I'm gonna instead pivot to a lot of rub-ons for this page. And I loved the idea of putting this mermaid here, just adding another mermaid to this page. This one's laying on the beach, and then I added a splash around that photo too, and I'm kind of just looking around and trying to figure out what else I want to add here. I'm gonna add this coral piece sort of coming up off of the page. And then once I start incorporating the rub-ons, I think I'm starting to like it a little bit better. It's coming together a little bit more like I had expected. I'm going to use these chipboard cooling off and perfection pieces, but I don't quite know where I want them to be yet. I do like some of these white bordered cardstock pieces, so I am going to use a few of them. But I felt like everywhere, like in between all of the layers, there was a little bit too much. I hem and haw and try and figure out the positioning of these pieces forever, and they still don't go here where I put them. But I don't know what it was. I was just like so indecisive for this page. I think because when you have special memories or things that are just like photos that are really important to you and tell a story, like the pressure is real, right? You really want to just do it justice and really make sure that it is coming out exactly like in your head. So I think I had a lot of pressure on myself for this specific photo set. I love these little bubbles on the sticker sheet from the memory keeping sticker sheets, so I'm going to add some bubbles in on this page too. Obviously he's standing on the beach, but the photos, or not the photos, the paper is an underwater scene, so I felt like the bubbles would still work. Alright, so I decided that I'm going to put my journaling up here instead, because I do need a little place for journaling and I don't want to interfere with any of the design at the bottom. Obviously I can't cover up my photos too much, so it's going to go here, but I'm going to cut the journal card in half so that it doesn't stick out so far. Committing to some of these cardstock die cuts. Alright, now I'm going to cut it in half, leave space for journaling, and then I found there was a sticker sheet. You can see it over there on the left hand side. There's a sticker sheet with these glittery stickers, and I wanted to use the heck out of them, but for some reason I didn't realize that they were glittery right away. I think they're from the Creative Kit, and so I had already put down the cardstock stickers. Otherwise I would have used more of these glittery ones because they're dope. So now I'm using the two little cardstock pieces or sticker pieces as anchor points for those sentiments, and I think that that works a little bit better than where I had them before. There's all of the glittery ones that I just want to use the heck out of. I want to use all of them. I think I only end up using the one. I might use this one. I don't think so. I only end up using the one, which is fine. I will use the glittery ones on something else later, but I was very disappointed that I couldn't shove another one in there. All right, here's where things start to go off the rails, as they are wont to do when I start stamping things. So I really, really wanted to include this crab. You can see me take it off the sheet and put it back a couple of times because I felt like I wanted to use it right there, but it was definitely too big and it didn't really make sense in the context of that mermaid sitting on top of it. So I go ahead and I'm going to grab different ink than the ink included in the kit because I wanted it to be a little bit darker. I didn't think it would show up if I did it that teal color on basically the same color paper. So I grabbed some Catherine Pooler ink and went ahead and did this navy color instead. And then because I just couldn't not I try and shove this crab onto this page, and it's terrible. It looks terrible, so I end up having to cover it up. It just didn't quite work out the way that I wanted it to, which happens. So now I have to cover it up and go back and fix it. So I'm going to take this circular piece that says go with the flow, which I think works perfectly for this page anyway. And then I'm going to take one of these vellum stickers from the, is it? No, oh, okay, not vellum sticker. I'm going to take a rub-on that's like a splash, and I'm going to cover up the rest of this crab. All right. Mistake number 1, catastrophe avoided. And it sort of works because it replicates that circular motif from the compass stamp up on the top. So yeah, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so then I found this other sticker sheet and it has smaller stickers on it, and so I was like trying to make some of these work, and I felt like I could make these coral pieces, or algae, whatever it is, sea kelp pieces work around this title, because I felt like the blank space around the title was really bothering me, and so this helps to sort of bridge the gap between the mermaid and the title and leave it not so blank. Much better. Okay. Now, I really, really wanted to include a crab. I don't know why. I needed a crab on a Little Mermaid layout. I just did. Gonna include some of this washi tape too, because I really like the way that the blue anchors the page. I feel like there's a lot, I mean, obviously there's a lot of blue, but I feel like there's a lot of lightness. Is that a thing? A lot of lightness happening on this page, and so I felt like there needed to be a couple of anchor points visually with this dark blue where it would sort of rein in the edges of this page. Everything kind of works together as one cohesive design, but there's not a lot of anchor points in the design. There's obviously the mermaids, but even then the mermaids, did you see that flash? My power went out while I was doing this. Even then the mermaids, they don't really stand out. So anyway, the blue helps, I think. And it gives more anchor point to those word bits, which I still felt like were floating in space a little bit. Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so we're ready to go off the rails again, because I do that. So you can see I start by pulling up this entire piece and inking the edges, which isn't off the rails in and of itself. It needed it. I feel like it really helps to delineate a line, and I think it looks great. However, I should have let it dry, which I never do because I'm impatient. And at this point I had been working on this page for like an hour and I was tired. So we smear ink. As per usual, I am a mess. I'm a messy person. I can't help it. I just am. So for some reason, like ink, like a little bit of, yep, here it is. This little bit of ink pad, like, it busted off. So I had to replace the photo. But that gave me a chance to slow down and add in some journaling while everything printed. There we go. I'm still got blue everywhere. It was just everywhere. It was annoying, but I fixed it. You guys, learn from my mistakes. Make your decisions before all of your photos are down, which I will never do. I'm sorry, I just won't. My decisions come when they come, and it's never in the appropriate order. So I'm going to add in some of these enamel dots with the bubbles just for some bling, some extra bubble-like things. And then the last thing that I do is I felt like the design on the bottom of the page with the like all of the fish and the paper and stuff, it didn't meet the center of the page. You see that big blue gap in between moment and all of the fish at the bottom? It was bothering me. It felt like the bottom half of the page wasn't connecting with the top half of the page. So I'm going to use a bunch of these rub-ons, and I'm going to bring that design from the paper up to the center of the page, because I feel like we needed a little bit of a bridge to make the whole thing come together and feel cohesive. So I did decide to add in words over here. I don't know. Random. We're going to add the seahorse, and then the last thing that we're going to do is I'm going to add this coral up here because I felt like there was this weird blank space, and that worked well up there. And then the very last bit is going to be this fish. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. And I will see you next time. Thank you.